Good morning, everyone. Welcome to TCS News, and I'm your host, Destiny.
And I'm your host, Iliana. Let's get right into the news.
Human rights, inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Should a woman have a right to control what happens to her own body? Yes, a woman should have a right to control her own body. Is that even a question? Women shouldn't have bans on their bodies. Women have been dealing with men controlling what we can and cannot do with our own bodies for years. The Knowing of Woman's Kind in Childing, a Middle English version of material derived from the Tortula and other sources. This is a book that was written by a woman for women about abortions in the 15th centuries. One of the parts of the book that were thoroughly explained was how men treated women if they had gotten abortions. They would call women offensive names for not taking the consequences of their actions. They didn't consider the fact that a woman could have been raped. In the 16th centuries, if women were caught trying to get an abortion, they would usually hang the woman or put her in prison, but no, they would publicly humiliate the woman who got abortions. Women would also be prohibited from entering the Catholic Church. Back then, the church was a very important thing for the people. Years later, people in the government decided that women should have a right for illegal abortions. So they passed the Roe v. Wade, which stated that women had the right to have an abortion and have control of what she does with her own body in general. In 1973, Roe v. Wade was almost overturned, which had a huge effects on women's rights. Then in 1996, the Planned Parenthood in the southeastern Pennsylvania v. Casey case was presented and stated that restrictions on abortions was unconstitutional. Then the Gonzalez v. Carhart case in 2007, the court upheld the federal partial birth abortion ban act that was presented in 2003, which prohibited a rarely used abortion procedure known as the intact dilation evacuation. The Whole Woman's Health v. Hersite case in 2016, the court invoked its decision in Casey to strike down two provisions of a Texas law requiring abortion clinics to meet the standards of ambulatory surgical centers and abortion doctors to have admitted privileges at a nearby hospital. For years later, in June, Medical Services LLC v. Russo, which happened in 2020, the court invoked the Whole Woman's Health to declare unconstitutional. So we actually went straight back to the 15th centuries. In our next story, our co-host will explain what's happening now in 2021.
Now, the Texas abortion law was passed in May, but actually went into effect September 1st. Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, decided to pass this law due to being against the abortion. This means that after a heartbeat is detected, you're not able to have an abortion, nor are you able to have an abortion after 6 weeks of being pregnant. This causes many women or young ladies to suffer more because women don't start to notice that they are pregnant after 6 weeks or even after. The law does not make any exceptions over the fact that she might have been raped, sexually abused, or incest. It hurts to see the woman turn into it hurts to see the community turn into a very controlling society over women. Unfortunately, you can sue a woman for $10,000 for having an abortion. You can be her neighbor, the man in the street, the boy that goes to school with her, and make money off of false accusations. Mississippi also tried to pass a law in 2018 that also banned women to get abortion after 15 weeks. This made Roe v. Wade's landmark difficult because he made it for women to have an abortion after 24 weeks. The state law never passed because it was blocked by a federal appellate court. The Supreme Court is trying to take it down to the Mississippi case and may affect many women in the society. Society just keeps getting worse over controlling women. It discusses how a law can hold our rights. It disgusted me because I don't want to see a woman suffer because of banning abortion. Some young females get pregnant at a very young age and can't handle the stress and the responsibilities to care for a child. So why hold back the rights to get an abortion? Some females get sexually abused or raped. Why hold back those rights to get an abortion? Put yourself in the position that this law is making women go through. Some women have to go to a different state to be able to get an abortion. Not everyone has the money to travel and get an abortion, because those two things are very expensive. I hate to see women suffer because of all these rights that they put up. I hate to see women being controlled. Now let's help women to make a change. Use your voice to help your mom or your female friends to get their rights that we've all wanted.
Now let's catch you up on some TCS news.
On Monday, we had our very first climate change class. We were introduced to many new things that I at least didn't know about. It was very interesting to learn about all the changes that are happening in the world today. I learned how many of the ice glaciers are melting because more sun rays are being trapped in our atmosphere, how all the pollution is going to the atmosphere and making the air we breathe less healthy. I love that we have an opportunity like this because it gives me so much more information about why people are so worried about our world today. This is all very interesting, but I am very grateful to have this opportunity and try to make a change in our world. Thank you to Miss Mary Pat Clark for taking your time on Mondays to teach us about our world, and Mr. Tom for inviting Miss Mary Pat Clark to teach us this course.
I'm so excited to work with Miss Mary Pat Clark. She is someone I look up to. She's a strong woman figure and she's a great activist. I'm ready for what she's going to assign us. Also on Monday, we watched a movie about climate change. This movie was about Al Gore and how climate change has gotten to be so bad. First, he told us about Apollo 8, which was the first time they got a picture of our planet. He showed us the true beauty of our planet by showing the audience that picture. Then he started to get into the climate change issue. He explained that when UV rays hit the Earth, they're mostly reflected back into space. However, some of the rays get through the atmosphere and get stuck. That's how Earth has an even temperature. But with air pollution in the atmosphere, more of those rays are stuck in our atmosphere, which is trapping more of those rays, therefore making the temperature hotter. He also talked about the effects of heat. There are water cycles for cold water and hot water. Well, there's way more hot water now, so there's a lot more natural disasters because the hot water is colliding with the cold water. Also, warmer water leads to iceberg melting. He explained that if the icebergs melt, our sea levels will rise. Al Gore said that if Greenland and Antarctica both fully melt, that the sea levels would rise 40 feet. And when the sea levels rise, then many of our coasts would be submerged in waters. Another important thing that I thought was important was that we can easily reduce the amount of pollution that we send into the atmosphere, but we're not doing that. We could be using cleaner methods of energy, but most of the country isn't. This is a problem that our children's children are going to have to deal with. If we don't do anything now, then when? Who? Are we going to leave this to our younger generations?
I agree with you. I think we should make a movement now, but the movie that we watched on Monday about Al Gore was pretty interesting. I had time to learn and dive deeper into what climate actually is. I really enjoyed it.
To add on to our climate change adventure with Miss Mary Pat Clark, we were given an assignment to make a PowerPoint on climate change. We were placed in groups of 4, and we are all working together to create a PowerPoint that explains what climate change is, what causes it, and the effects it has on our planet and us. I'm excited for when we'll be presenting on Monday. Good luck, everyone.
Last weekend, Miss Tina, Destiny's mom, Ronan, and Miss Janae, Ronan's mom, volunteered to clean the school. Ronan says that it was a very fun experience. We thank you all for your hard work and time. I appreciate the effort you all put in cleaning. The school was very clean and nice. Thank you again. You're always welcome back.
Last Friday, we were given the chance to listen in on the author, Miss Mary Lou, talking about her books with a librarian from the Echnot Pratt Library. She is the author of the book we are currently reading, which is Legend. I honestly thought that the book was amazing. I couldn't keep my hands off of it. However, the meeting with the author was not what was expected, but I did get a lot out of it.
I would like to thank everyone who provided lunches for us this week.
Thank you, Miss Angie, who brought in those delicious soft tacos last Thursday.
On Friday, Miss Diane brought in potato dumplings, succulent Russian bread, pickled vegetables, and many desserts including Turkey's Delight. Miss Diane brought us some really different foods that come from Ukraine and Russia. Thank you for letting us try your culture's food.
Thank you, Miss Carol, for the flavorful barbecue pulled pork, coleslaw, and chips on Monday.
Thank you, Miss Peg, for the great salad, the fresh fruit, and the best turkey sandwich you could ever have on Tuesday.
Thank you, Miss Sarita, for the juicy meatballs and the macaroni and cheese on Wednesday. And that wraps up this week's edition of TCS News.
And we're signing off.